Everything you've been taught about being good was a lie, designed not to protect you, but to keep you weak. They told you that kindness earns respect, that honesty builds trust, that fairness guarantees peace. But look closer. The kind are exploited, the honest are betrayed, and the fair are crushed by those who refuse to play fair. Niccolo Machiavelli ripped the mask off these illusions 5 centuries ago, and his words still sting today. It is far safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. The lie of goodness. Think about your own life. The colleague who works the hardest, never complains, always smiles, overlooked, underpaid, and forgotten. The friend who bends over backwards to help everyone, drained, ignored, and quietly disrespected. That is the tragedy of goodness without power. Machiavelli saw it clearly. Morality doesn't protect you, it exposes you. When people know your limits, when they see the line you'll never cross, they own you. They can guilt you, trap you, and manipulate you. The illusion is that being good makes you safe. The reality, it makes you predictable, and predictability is weakness. Fear versus love. Machiavelli wasn't against love. He simply knew it was fragile. Love depends on emotion, on circumstances, on the shifting tides of loyalty. But fear endures. Fear doesn't require affection, it only requires recognition of consequence. Ask yourself, which boss commands more obedience? The one you like or the one you fear crossing? Which parent keeps their child safe? The one who wants to be liked or the one whose rules cannot be broken without consequence? Love may inspire devotion, but fear guarantees compliance. And when survival or power is on the line, compliance matters more than devotion. The theater of morality. Look at the modern world. Social media is flooded with performances of goodness, people flaunting kindness, corporations broadcasting ethics, politicians promising justice. But behind the curtains, ruthlessness, corruption, and ambition. Machiavelli would not be shocked. He would simply remind us, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. The loudest virtue signalers are often the most manipulative. The politicians who preach fairness cut backroom deals. The companies that promise sustainability exploit workers overseas. Even in friendships, the person who lectures about loyalty is often the first to betray. Morality isn't dead, it's theater. And the actors aren't playing for truth, they're playing for power, prey or predator. Most people are raised to think like prey. Avoid conflict, keep your head down, don't offend. But Machiavelli knew prey cannot survive in a predator's world. Prey asks, how do I stay safe? Predator asks, how do I win? Prey clings to morality as a shield. Predator uses morality as camouflage, a mask that can be dropped at any moment. This doesn't mean cruelty. Machiavelli wasn't advocating random evil. He was advocating clarity. Clarity about what people really are: selfish, fearful, envious, and opportunistic. If you see people as saints, you'll get betrayed. If you see them as they are, you can control them. A ruthless example. Cesare Borgia understood this better than anyone. When chaos consumed Italy, he sent his brutal enforcer, Ramiro de Orco, to terrify the people into obedience. Crime dropped, order returned, and then, in a masterstroke, Borgia had de Orco publicly executed. The people celebrated. They saw Borgia as both strong and just. Fear secured obedience. Morality was staged. Control remained his. This was not cruelty for cruelty's sake. It was theater. Ruthless clarity disguised as justice. Your reality check. So let me ask you, are you still living under the illusion of morality? Do you exhaust yourself trying to be the good one, the forgiving one, the endlessly patient one, while others quietly use you? Or will you finally accept Machiavelli's truth? Morality is not a law of nature. It is a mask, a leash, a tool. And if you let others wield it against you, you will always remain powerless. Kindness without power is weakness. Kindness with power is influence. Never confuse the two. Closing of Part 1. This is step 1 in your Machiavellian awakening, shattering the illusion of morality. Once you see through it, you're no longer prey. You're no longer chained to ideals that others exploit. You're free to play the real game, the game of perception, strategy, and power. So here's your task. Over the next week, notice every time someone tries to use morality to corner you, every guilt trip, every should that benefits them more than you. And when it happens, ask yourself, is this morality or is this control? Welcome to ruthless clarity. Welcome to Machiavelli's truth. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. Niccolo Machiavelli. This is the cruelest truth of power. People don't respond to reality. They respond to illusion. They don't care who you are, only what you look like. And if you can control that appearance, you control the script of their lives. Think about it. How many times have you explained yourself to someone thinking, if they only knew the real me, they'd respect me? But respect doesn't come from truth. It comes from performance. Life isn't a conversation, it's a stage. And every powerful person you've admired, feared, or envied, they're not just living, they're acting. The currency of image politicians have known this for centuries. A leader doesn't need to be competent. He just needs to look competent. He doesn't even need to be strong. He just needs to project strength. Look at modern elections. Debates aren't judged on policy details. They're judged on presence, tone, body language. A stumble can destroy an entire career, not because of truth, but because of perception. In business, the same law rules. A CEO in a tailored suit isn't showing off taste. He's wearing armor. The influencer with the perfect life on Instagram isn't showing reality. She's selling a carefully staged illusion, and millions buy into it. Machiavelli's advice? Don't waste time proving who you are. Instead, master how you are seen. Predictability is death. Most people are open books. They overshare. They reveal their intentions before they're ready. They wear their emotions on their face, and the predictable are always the first to fall. Machiavelli warned, never let people know your true purpose. The second they do, they'll block you, sabotage you, or use your plan for themselves. Think about poker. The best players don't win because of the cards. They win because no one can read them. Predictable players lose everything. Unreadable players own the table. Ask yourself, could someone look at your life, your habits, your posts, and instantly know your weaknesses? If yes, you're not mysterious, you're exposed, and the exposed are always controlled. The mirror and the mask. One of the most Machiavellian tactics is mirroring expectations. People don't want the truth. They want validation. They want to see themselves reflected. So you give them a mask that mirrors what they crave. And when the time is right, you twist the mask to your advantage. To a boss, you reflect discipline. To a friend, you reflect relatability. To an enemy, you reflect calm indifference. The mask shifts depending on the stage. But the true face underneath, that remains hidden. This is how you become unreadable. This is how you keep everyone guessing. And the one they can't guess is the one they fear. The illusion of transparency. We live in an age obsessed with transparency. Leaders are told to be vulnerable. Couples are told to share everything. But here's the Machiavellian truth. Complete transparency is suicide. Do you think billionaires reveal their real strategies? Do you think politicians tell it like it is when cameras are on? Transparency is a brand, a carefully curated illusion. You must learn to do the same. Share strategically, never completely. Give people 70% of the picture and let them fill in the rest with their own assumptions. The irony? Their imagination will usually flatter you more than the truth ever could. A lesson from history. Sun Tzu, a strategist Machiavelli admired, advised, "Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak." Hannibal Barca used this to humiliate Rome. He feigned retreat, let the Romans believe they were winning, then encircled them at Cannae, annihilating an army twice his size. The mask of weakness was more powerful than any sword. Centuries later, corporations use the same tactic. A company may appear fragile, undervalued, on the verge of collapse, only to reveal months later that it was quietly preparing a takeover. The mask manipulates the market. The mask makes the kill. The social stage. You don't need to be a general or CEO to use this. The mask works in everyday life. At a party, the loudest talker thinks they're commanding attention, but watch carefully. It's the quiet, unreadable person in the corner who draws the most intrigue. Silence is a mask. Mystery is a magnet. In relationships, the one who overshares their traumas, fears, and every thought quickly loses allure. But the one who reveals carefully, selectively, maintains an aura of depth. People respect mystery far more than overexposure. As Machiavelli said, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand." They judge what they see, not what is. So I ask you, what do people see when they look at you? A predictable character or an unreadable strategist? The challenge for you. This week, practice invisibility. Speak less than you normally do. Don't explain yourself when misunderstood. Withhold details, share selectively. Watch as people lean in, as curiosity grows, as respect quietly shifts toward you. Remember, you don't need to control who you are. You only need to control who they think you are. Closing of Part 2. Perception isn't decoration, it's domination. Control it, and you write the story. Lose it, and you become a character in someone else's play. Machiavelli didn't say, "Be fake." He said, "Be unreadable," because the unreadable can never be cornered. The unreadable can never be killed. In the theater of power, the mask isn't just protection, the mask is the weapon. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Niccolò Machiavelli. Most people think intelligence is about knowing facts, scoring high on tests, or sounding clever in debates. But Machiavelli saw intelligence differently. He knew that true power lies not in knowledge itself, but in the ability to control your emotions when everyone else loses theirs. Because nothing exposes weakness faster than an uncontrolled reaction. The trap of emotion. Why do manipulators succeed? Because they know your triggers. They insult you and you snap. They guilt you and you fold. They flatter you and you melt. The second you react without control, you surrender the game. Think of an argument you've had. They raised their voice, so you raised yours. In that instant, they set the rhythm, and you danced to their tune. You were no longer leading. You were being led. Machiavelli would sneer at such predictability. He didn't see emotions as evil, but he saw them for what they were, weapons. And if you're not the one pulling the trigger, then you're the one bleeding from them. The silence of power. Here's a paradox most people never understand. Silence is louder than rage. Imagine someone insults you in front of a crowd. The average person fires back. They defend, they argue, they try to save face. But when you don't flinch, when you pause, study, and smile, the balance shifts. The crowd questions the aggressor, not you, because control is magnetic. Machiavelli knew this well. He who is slow to believe and acts with caution will succeed in his designs. The man who can stay calm while others lose themselves doesn't just survive, he dominates. Weaponizing emotion. This doesn't mean you suppress emotions, it means you own them. You decide when to show them and how. Picture a negotiation. You want the deal desperately, but you don't show it. You project indifference. Your calmness makes them desperate to win you over. Or in relationships, someone tries to play jealousy games with you. Instead of exploding, you remain composed. That composure unsettles them more than any outburst ever could. When you choose the timing, emotions become tools. Anger can be staged to intimidate, sadness can be used to elicit sympathy, warmth can be extended to build loyalty. The difference is that you're not reacting, you're orchestrating. A shock story, Nixon's mask of rage. Take Richard Nixon. In the 1960 presidential debates, he appeared pale, tired, emotionally drained, and he lost the perception battle against the charismatic John F. Kennedy. But later in his career, Nixon learned how to weaponize emotion. In private meetings, he would explode in bursts of fury, pounding desks, shouting threats, only to suddenly fall back into icy calm. Staffers admitted later it was an act, a performance designed to intimidate, to destabilize, to remind everyone of his unpredictability. The rage wasn't weakness, it was strategy. That's the Machiavellian lesson. Emotions don't need to be real to be powerful. They only need to be believed. Logic as fortress. While others are ruled by passion, you must become the fortress. Logic is your wall. Self-control is your gate. The investor who panics when the market dips loses everything. The one who waits patiently, guided by reason, buys while others sell, and wins. The person who fires angry texts when ignored appears weak. The one who pauses, waits, and moves on with dignity radiates strength. Machiavelli understood. Logic is the weapon that turns rejection into redirection, betrayal into opportunity, and chaos into control. The predator's patience. Predators don't chase every movement. The lion doesn't sprint at every rustle in the grass. It waits, watches, times the strike. That's how cold logic works. It saves energy for the decisive kill. It keeps you from being dragged into meaningless battles. It allows you to strike when the enemy is tired, reckless, or distracted. The prey reacts. The predator calculates, and when the predator moves, the outcome is certain. The challenge for you. How easily are you manipulated by emotion? Do you over-explain because you need validation? Do you react instantly when insulted, proving you can be provoked? Do you show desperation in negotiations, giving others leverage over you? Every reaction is a confession. Every outburst is a map of your weaknesses. This week, practice stillness. When provoked, don't explain, don't react, don't defend. Pause. Let silence suffocate them. Let their frustration grow as they realize they can't control you. You'll feel the power shift instantly. Closing of Part 3. Machiavelli didn't believe emotions were weaknesses. He believed they were weapons, but only in the hands of those who could master them. The fool reacts. The wise man calculates. And the dangerous man, he calculates, waits, and strikes. When the moment is perfect, your logic is the fortress. Your emotions are the arsenal. And from now on, you must be the one holding the trigger. He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. Niccolo Machiavelli. This is the essence of power. Intelligence isn't about what you know, it's about what you hide. The loudest person in the room, bragging, showing off, fighting to be seen as smart, is usually the weakest. The quiet one, the unreadable one, the one who says little but observes everything, that is the person who controls the game. The art of concealment. Think about a negotiation. One side talks endlessly about their goals, their fears, their limits. They think they're persuading. In reality, they're bleeding information. But the one who listens, who conceals, who reveals nothing, they're the predator. Their silence forces others to over-explain, to expose their weaknesses, to beg for clarity. Machiavelli understood that intelligence is not a performance, it's restraint. It's knowing what to hold back and when. True power is never loud. It is silent, patient, and always underestimated. Chess, not checkers. Life is not fair and it's not simple. It's chess. Every move reveals intention. And the most dangerous players, they make moves not to win instantly, but to mislead, to bait, to trap. Machiavelli's brilliance was in reminding us, the smartest people are not those who play clean. They're the ones who let others think they're winning, until it's too late. A pawn is sacrificed not as loss, but as bait. A setback isn't failure. It's camouflage for a bigger strike. This is why ruthless intelligence requires a double vision. One eye on the long game, one eye on the mask you wear today. Play dirty, think clean. People hear Machiavelli and imagine cruelty. But cruelty was never the point. Strategy was. To play dirty means to accept that life is unfair and to use that fact without apology. To think clean means you never lose sight of your ultimate goal. Look at politics. Rivals smile, shake hands, call each other friends. Cameras flash, but behind the scenes, they trade secrets, betray trust, set traps. The performance is moral. The reality is ruthless. Machiavelli would tell you, stop demanding a fair game. No one else is playing fair. If you refuse to use the weapons others use, you've already lost. A shock story. Hannibal's trap. Take Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general who humiliated Rome. At the Battle of Cannae, he deliberately put his weakest soldiers in the center. The Romans surged forward, believing victory was certain, but it was bait. As the center bent backward, Roman legions poured in deeper until Hannibal's stronger troops surrounded them from all sides. Annihilation. That wasn't luck. That was deception, letting the enemy believe they were winning until the very moment they were doomed. The same principle applies everywhere, in business, in politics, even in relationships. Sometimes you let others think they've beaten you, all while tightening the noose. Corporate Machiavellians. The modern world is full of this. Think about Amazon. For years they appeared weak, operating at razor-thin margins, even losing money. Competitors laughed. Traditional retailers felt safe, but it was camouflage. Amazon wasn't weak. They were building infrastructure, gathering data, positioning themselves. And when the time was right, they crushed entire industries. That is Machiavellian intelligence. Play small, appear fragile, until you are too big to stop. The psychology of deception. Machiavelli understood human weakness. People want to believe. They want easy truths, simple stories, comfortable illusions. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so much creatures of circumstance that the deceiver will always find someone willing to be deceived." Scammers don't trick the stupid, they trick the hopeful. Politicians don't win by truth. They win by telling the story people most want to believe. This is why intelligence means never showing all your cards. The moment you reveal too much, someone begins planning against you. The moment you prove how smart you are, you threaten others, and they begin plotting your downfall. The most dangerous intelligence is not brilliance on display. It's brilliance disguised as simplicity. The challenge for you. Ask yourself, do you give away too much? Do you brag about your goals, thinking others will cheer you on? Do you reveal your weaknesses, thinking honesty earns loyalty? Every word you share is a weapon, either in your hand or in theirs. This week, experiment with restraint. Speak half as much as you normally would. When asked about your plans, give vague, confident answers. Let people wonder. Let them project their own stories onto you. Notice how curiosity builds. Notice how respect quietly grows. Closing of Part 4. The ruthless intelligence game isn't about cruelty, it's about survival. It's about understanding that silence protects, that deception shields, and that concealment is often the sharpest weapon. Play dirty when you must. Think clean always. While others show their hands and cry about fairness, you will move in silence, unseen, underestimated, and unstoppable. And when the time comes to strike, they won't even realize they've been playing by your rules all along. The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers, and likewise, the one whose policy clashes with the demands of the times does not. Niccolò Machiavelli. If there is one final weapon that separates the untouchable from the exploited, it is not money, status, or connections. It is emotional distance, the ability to detach when others cling, the ability to walk away when others beg, the ability to see clearly when others drown in illusions. Why distance is power? Most people are hostages to their own cravings, craving comfort, craving love, craving approval, and when you crave, you can be controlled. Machiavelli saw this in rulers who craved popularity. They rose fast, adored by crowds, but fell even faster when the winds of opinion shifted. Leaders who detached, who didn't rely on love, who governed with discipline and clarity, outlasted them all. Look at your own life. How many times have you tolerated betrayal because you feared being alone? How many times have you over-explained yourself because you needed approval? Each time, you handed someone else the strings to your life. When you detach, the strings are cut, and freedom begins. Clarity over comfort. Machiavelli was accused of being heartless. In truth, he was clear-eyed. He knew that emotions blur vision. Detachment burns away that fog. Consider a breakup. The desperate one who clings, begs, or stalks becomes pitiful, but the one who detaches, who walks away with calmness, radiates strength. In leadership, the same law applies. Leaders who crave applause make weak, short-sighted decisions. Leaders who detach from popularity can make brutal, unpopular calls. And often those calls are what secure true legacy. Detachment doesn't mean cruelty. It means clarity. A story of cold-blooded freedom. The Rothschild banking dynasty understood detachment. During financial panics, when the masses screamed, sold, and collapsed in fear, the Rothschilds stayed calm. They bought when others were terrified. They sold when others were intoxicated by greed. Their secret was simple: emotional distance. While others drowned in the tides of panic and euphoria, they stayed dry on the shore, watching, waiting, profiting. It wasn't luck. It was Machiavellian detachment applied to finance. And the same principle applies in life. The one who refuses to be swept away by collective emotion is the one who rises above it. The freedom few achieved. Machiavelli knew freedom wasn't about doing whatever you want. Real freedom is freedom from illusion, from dependence, from weakness. Detach from the need to be loved, and you gain untouchable strength. Detach from the need to be right, and you gain endless learning. Detach from the need to win every battle, and you position yourself to win the war. Here is the paradox. The less you need, the more you attract. The less you chase, the more people chase you. Detachment is magnetic because it radiates self-sufficiency. From pawn to player. The final transformation is this: shifting from being the manipulated to becoming the manipulator. When you master emotional distance, you cannot be baited into petty arguments. You cannot be guilt-tripped into bad decisions. You cannot be seduced by hollow flattery. You stand apart. You see clearly. You decide with strategy instead of desperation. This doesn't make you invincible, but it makes you untouchable in ways most will never experience. The true legacy of Machiavelli. For centuries, Niccolò Machiavelli has been called ruthless, cynical, even evil. But those labels missed the point. He wasn't advocating cruelty, he was advocating clarity. He stripped away the lies we tell ourselves about human nature. Lies like, people are naturally good. Lies like, if you're kind, the world will reward you. Lies like, fairness is universal. He replaced them with truth. People are selfish, envious, fearful, and opportunistic. To survive, you must see them as they are, not as you wish they were. That clarity doesn't make you cruel. It makes you free. Your Machiavellian awakening. So the question now turns to you. Are you willing to see the world as it is, not as you've been taught to see it? Because if you are, you'll realize morality is not safety. It's a leash. Perception is not decoration. It's a weapon. Logic is not optional. It's your fortress. Intelligence is not what you show. It's what you hide. Strategy is not fairness. It's survival. And detachment is not coldness. It's freedom. Most will hear these truths and retreat back into comforting lies. But a few, perhaps you, will take the first step into ruthless clarity. The ruthless community. This channel is for those few, for those who dare to confront human nature without illusions, for those who want not just to survive, but to control the game. So I'll ask you directly, was Machiavelli right, or was he too ruthless? Leave your thoughts below. And before you go, make sure to subscribe to Ruthless Psychology. Join a community that studies the hidden laws of power, influence, and control, and uses them. Because whether you like it or not, the game is being played. The only choice is whether you play like prey or like a prince. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were never meant to be controlled by guilt, approval, or illusion. You were meant to see clearly, to rise above, to rule your own destiny. Machiavelli didn't write to make you cruel. He wrote to make you untouchable, and now you have his blueprint.